September 22nd, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. In our Monday call, we talk about what we are going to be focused on for the week. Before we kick off, I just wanted to quickly share screen of some benefit that I have had using Recoup that has just been pleasant for me as a creator. When I go onto my YouTube channel, I just go over to my live and I just see that all of my thumbnails are updated with a consistent styling. They all include the name. And it just makes me so happy as a creator because in the past, I never updated, as you can see, any of these thumbnails, especially on my lives. And so to now just have some sort of brand consistency that I can tweak and to know that Recoup every day is doing it has been something nice. And you can see, relatively similar, but most of these you got like 4 views, 6 views, 2 views, 12 views. And then when we get into the custom thumbnails, we've got 13, 18, 23. There's a 6, so less than 10. 30, 12, a 3, a 3, 11, 25, 3, a 7. So maybe you could argue more or less the same. You could argue a slight uptick, but now I can work with Recoup and say, like, enforce the style. Maybe don't always use the text. I don't know, but it's been an observation I wanted to share. Since I took up a little bit of time, what my goal is to work on for our enterprise customers. We have a feedback sheet that I don't think I'm allowed to share. And in that feedback sheet, Sid is giving me the conversations from our enterprise customers, the most important ones to review. I read through them. Am I allowed to talk about the feedback that I think we should implement based off of it?
Yeah.
So what I think the feedback is that should be updated I only read 3. So I read 3 in the morning. How I think I'd like to iterate over it is focus on those 3 until we've implemented something. Once it's been implemented, change it to green, and then maybe move it to the bottom or just keep it green and keep it in its position. And I'll always have 3 that I'm ideating on just so that I'm not trying to reach too deep without acting on them. And what I suggested is 1, update the system prompt with the text. If you don't know an answer, use web search or other tools to get the information. That prevents Recoup from responding to say, I don't have information on how to do that. We want to not have that because it can get the answer in 99% of chances. Find specific one-off errors to the debug and fix, which I did. And then create a custom agent prompt like this. Every month, search the web, find a monthly listener, update the knowledge base with my monthly listeners and add a new row for next month's data. If it doesn't exist, create the text file, add the initial monthly listeners and attach it to the artist. That would be for a prompt of someone asking for like start automated tracking. So if someone asks for something that, for example, Spotify streams, it's easy to get, this is the monthly listeners. That's something that most AI can go on and grab a screenshot of, but getting historical data is harder. And so if we want to track that, one way we could do that is, okay, we'll get today's snapshot and then set up a recurring task once a week, once a month, whatever your cadence is. And then we create a text file, put in today's record, and then come back on a recurring basis and grab a new screenshot from Spotify, add that data into the spreadsheet. And that way you're just continuing to get the data over time. Sid pushed back, and I think we ended up orienting the question around if a customer does not prompt correctly. So I had suggested using an agent. How can our system help them to set up the correct prompts, actions, and use the tools correctly? I suggested adding a new tool called Get Agents. That way I would probably prompt it, the tool description, like if the prompt feels not well defined or if you're not sure, get agents to get a better prompt chain or something like that. That way it can get any of the prompts in. To know how that would be implemented, I'll share screen and on chat.recoupable.com/agents. Agents over here, but the chat has no knowledge of any of these agents. So right now they're 2 totally disconnected things. I click on this and then it creates a chat, but the chat has no way to get that. And generally I prefer to build the tool first. That way our AI can do it. And then eventually add it into UI if we need a UI component. But in the and the agents in particular, we did not start out that way. And so it might be a good time to bring this feature back into the chat. That way the AI does have context of these agents so that it can do some of these longer prompt chains, especially if someone doesn't prompt like this and someone just asks like what's currently going viral. If they ask something short like that, maybe we get the agents, and then it can give a more in-depth prompt engineering step before doing it. There's a few different ways we could skin that cat. One, it could be before any response on any initial prompt, get the agents and see if there's a more verbose prompt chain, and have it be just like any input, check if we already have a prompt chain in place, and if so, use that. Or we can phrase the description in a different way. Those are the 4 actions I've taken away so far. I have not acted on any of those. What I did act on is one of our enterprise customers was getting an error related to the I'm going to pull up the exact ticket. One of our customers was getting a bug related to this issue. Luckily, all 10 of their issues were the exact same. And so I looked it up on Google and I found input available, this exact error message. There was already a GitHub issue opened up on July 13th. The AI SDK has not documented this, but I dug down into one of these responses of someone giving us the helpful hint that it's part of the convert to model message tool. So I dug into the code base, found this. I added in my own notes into here just to keep the conversation active and let Vercel know what I think they should update their docs with and how we solved it. I even linked the pull request where I made the update. And so this was a simple one-line change to make it so that that error no longer impacts neither our enterprise customers nor our free tier customers. No customers of Recoup will hit this anymore. And it's pretty much just excluding messages that are in the input available step. That no longer gets considered, which is fine for us because we don't use it. I have also updated our AI SDK packages. Before we were on the same version of these beta releases. AI SDK v5 is no longer in beta. And so I've updated all of our AI SDK packages to now be on the latest version. And I also went through and did some cleanup and deleted packages that we're no longer using. Like Sid, I think you added in AI SDK fall for fall AI, but we were never actually using that. And the same for XAI. At one point we were using XAI for Grok, but now we're using AI Gateway. LangChain is something that's been sitting around. We probably
we're not using AI FAL. Are you sure?
We're not using AI SDK for FAL, correct? I mean, let me do a quick check here to make sure I didn't break your tools because I did not test this. Generate an image of a tuxedo cat in a box playing the trumpet. But I have deleted the package in the latest version of prod, so let's see if FAL is still working.
Can you check generate image with NanoBanana and see if it's calling the right tool?
NanoBanana generate image has been generated. Here's our tuxedo cat in a box playing trumpet.
Cool.
Change the position of the camera to be top down. So I deleted a bunch of packages that we weren't using, just doing some cleanup, and that is where I'm at. I'd love to hear, Sid, what your thoughts are on my feedback on what I propose as the steps are moving forward. If I have thumbs up for you to start implementing those, or if you have feedback and think we should let it percolate a little bit more and think through the solution a little bit deeper. But that's where I'll pause and toss it over to you to see if you have any thoughts on that and talk me through what you're working on this week.
Yeah, I will.
I took up a lot of time. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. I got to jump in a second, but I will do this real quick. Share, just so you're on the same page as me. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So here's my week priorities so you can kind of see where I'm at. This week, customer calls. So I'm taking all of these paying customer calls this week. They're already set up, and I'm probably sure there's more going to be coming in. Trial customer help. So I have some customers that are on trial that I'm also going to be taking calls with. These are already locked in. Mm-hmm. Lead customer demos. These are all the calls that are not paying, but they are calls in my, like these calls are already set up to demo the platform and move them to trial. And then other than all of these calls, I'm going
Which
to
is
be
awesome.
yeah, tons. But the other one is I'm working on the customer experience. So just I'm going to be going through user chats, adding some more things to the spreadsheet. I'm going to also be like trying to see if I can improve the responses myself with new prompts. So like if I notice that it's a user that's clicking an agent template, going in and seeing if I can get better results with a better prompt, and then updating that agent template with a better prompt. So just to try to knock out, I've already done a couple of these with some of ours. So you'll see like user put this prompt, Sid got here's all of the issues, here's the better prompt, and we got better results.
Yep.
Which means that it's a prompting issue, but it goes back to the question that you had, which was like, but if Sid's not around, how are users going to be able to improve? How can our system improve prompts for users or know which tools to call so Sid doesn't have to manually do all of this stuff? The other thing I'm working on is updating the website and adding features and benefits to the website. I'm hitting a blocker with Framer because it thinks that I've already have our website attached to another thing or the same URL. So I have a customer support ticket open there because if I can just use Framer, it's going to get us to where we need to go a lot quicker. But if I am unable to be blocked, then I'm going to have to build that out myself. Other than that, the one thing, or I guess really quickly to talk through, or I'm not even going to talk through it because I don't want to spend too much of your time, but I want to just propose this question. I agree with the path that you're going down for the user experience of. And my questions to you are, is our current infrastructure set up correctly to give the best context to the agent when the user requests it? For example, if we go down the path of just adding to a knowledge-based text file, how will the AI know which knowledge-based text file to access? How will it know which ones to compare? Like, are we setting up is our system infrastructure set up in a way to be able to use the context we have stored effectively? And how are we tracking and managing its effectiveness on every query or call? So like, again, going back to it, if a user, and then the other question is why would we set up a system that requires the user to initiate artist knowledge base updates? Why would we not just have our system automatically update artist knowledge bases over time? So a user doesn't have to worry about it and just they know every week or every day or whatever we think the MVP version of this is they know they can go in and the system is smart enough to be able to know and track the information from week to week or month to month. Like what I'm realizing is chats seem to be the place where users go to because they expect the system to be able to accomplish their query. So they go in and use it. And then when it becomes a yay or nay that like the system was able to give the correct prompts or answer their question. And so how do we make the system intelligent enough to match user expectation? If they're like, if users are going and expecting our system to be able to give them the knowledge of week to week, how do we set up our system in a way to give them that, to meet their expectations? And how do we track to make sure that we're meeting those expectations with the right implementation? Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Cool. All right, but I'll stop there and let you kind of ideate on it. I like the path that you're going down, so just keep going down that path. Why not? And I'll continue to update the spreadsheet with more information.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back on Wednesday for our midweek check-in. Don't forget to